strong fish. A century ago, trapping was not only a way of life for many Vermonters, it was a necessity. Beaver, fox, muskrat, and other fur-bearing animals provided a critical source of income during the leanest months of the year, and a successful trapping season often helped families make ends meet. Today, trapping's greatest value is as a wildlife management tool, and advances over the years have made it as safe and humane as possible. Although it has its detractors, regulated trapping is a key component of controlling many wildlife species, and it remains a deep-seated part of Vermont's outdoor heritage. Vermont is home to several fur-bearing animals that are valuable parts of the ecosystem. But if their populations are allowed to grow unchecked, they can quickly become nuisance species. Beavers can flood roads and septic systems and destroy valuable trees, while coyotes, fox, raccoons, and skunks can cause all sorts of property damage and spread diseases like rabies. With proper management, however, these problems can be kept to a minimum. One of the most effective, yet controversial, methods of managing fur bearers is regulated trapping.
See where that set is, Ben?
Tom Decker began trapping at age 8, a tradition he continues with his children. As a biologist with the Vermont Fish and Wildlife Department, he also has first-hand experience with the valuable role trapping plays in both managing and restoring fur-bearing animals.
Trapping is an extremely important management tool from a variety of situations. We've been able to restore river otter in 18 states in the Midwest and Northeast by trapping, using foothold traps to catch animals in Louisiana and North Carolina and bringing them into states where now they're common and abundant. The same thing with beaver. They were typically not here through the 1800s in Vermont, and now we have them statewide. Now part of our challenge is finding the balance between the beaver population and the human population, and trapping plays a role there.
It wasn't long ago that trapping was part of everyday life in Vermont. In his memoirs of growing up in Colchester in the early 1900s, Walter Munson wrote, "Almost every farm boy did some trapping. It was always obvious when we arrived at school which boys were successful." But today, with fewer farms and fewer people living off the land, misperceptions about trapping abound.
The three biggest myths about trapping are that trappers can just go and set these big tooth traps anywhere they want all over the landscape and never have to look at them or tend them.
Trapping is actually one of the most highly regulated outdoor activities. These are just a few of the rules that prevent overharvesting and ensure that the methods used are as humane as possible.
The second thing is that trapping leads to endangering species of animals. And since implementing modern wildlife management programs, trapping is not a threat to endangered species.
In fact, trapping is often used to protect rare species. In Vermont, trappers help safeguard the eggs of the endangered spiny soft-shelled turtle by removing overabundant raccoons at turtle nesting sites.
And the third thing is that trapping poses a risk to pets, that trapping's not selective. And the reality is the trapper setting the trap and the size of the trap and the type of bait and lure that they use to attract an animal, or where they place the trap, a trap 3 feet under the ice for beaver, doesn't catch cats and dogs.
Body gripping traps that function like a giant mousetrap are used for beavers and other aquatic fur bearers. They are placed under the ice along travel routes and are sometimes baited with a fresh piece of wood. Foothold traps are used for terrestrial fur bearers like fox and coyote. The size of the trap and the amount of weight needed to trigger the trap are carefully set for the species targeted. Ongoing improvements in foothold traps have made them both more selective and allow for non-target animals to be released unharmed.
Vermont participates in the development of best management practices for trapping. And the goal there is to recommend to trappers that the traps that they use have certain features and are of certain size, so they're basically humane, safe, efficient, and selective.
Trapping was essentially banned in Massachusetts in 1996. Only 1 year later, nuisance beaver complaints had increased 500%. In Vermont, trappers are often called in by landowners to help with nuisance animals. On a farm in Danville, beavers have been causing a variety of problems for the farmer.
The stream has a culvert across it in a road, and his access to his sugar bush is impeded occasionally by the beaver. They're going to move far enough up that stream where they're going to start having an impact on his sugar bush. And more than just a little bit of financial loss from having to repair the road, but a larger loss from the harvestable timber or the ability to get maple syrup from the sugar bush.
Dave Gregory is not only a trapper but a state game warden. All too often, Dave has seen that when a species becomes overpopulated, people quickly lose their appreciation for that animal.
It's neat to see a raccoon in your yard once.
Right over the top.
Might be even a few times, but when it starts tearing down the bird feeder and getting into the garage and tipping over the trash cans, the novelty is over and it just is a nuisance.
For people like Tom and Dave, trapping is more than a management tool. It's about using a renewable natural resource and learning about wildlife.
Wait a minute, I think there's something over here. Let's look at that. Did you see it?
Trappers need to be good naturalists to be successful. Every day on the trap line, there's something new to observe.
What do you think did that? I think this is a mink scat or a weasel scat. What do you think?
Well, it has little red things in it.
Little red things? Oh, it does. Yeah. Huh, it's like a reddish fur. Oh, yeah.
Man, what has reddish fur?
Well,
A mouse, a squirrel.
It's like a clue, you know? Try to figure it all out.
Let's get going.
Okay. Yep, scat's only so exciting for so long, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's open her up. Let's see what we've got in there today.
If we got anything.
If we got anything, we'll see if those beaver were active last night or not.
I think trappers are motivated by a variety of reasons as far as why they go trapping. And for some, it's to spend time outdoors, to teach things to their kids about nature, whether it's tracking, where animals live, what they do, what they're doing during certain times of the year. It fits in with a lifestyle of people in Vermont. You know, people look to the land for firewood, for maple syrup, and for venison. And for these people, it's an extension of that.
It's a nice one, huh?
Yeah. Big tail beaver.
You can take these off the boards. These are all done.
The animals trapped provide food for their families and pets, and the finished furs are both a source of extra income and the raw material for a variety of garments. From setting and checking the traps to fleshing and drying the furs, it's a tremendous amount of work, but the rewards are many.
For me, trapping is almost everything. It's about life. It's about teaching values to your children. It's about a way to relate to the land, to give something back to the land, to be part of nature. It has all these just intrinsic values. It requires hard work. It requires you to be knowledgeable. It has a role in the community in the way I can help my neighbors with animal damage they have, barter with them maple syrup for trapping nuisance beavers or other activities. It has this whole intrinsic value of just being a part of the way of the life of Vermont.